everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
And Eric and I are here to tell you how we felt about Terminator Dark Fate. Eric just got back from it.
I did.
He just saw it this evening. I saw it last night, so I've had a little bit of time for it to stew. Not that I've spent a lot of time thinking about it, but I've had time to
and
let
I already
it
know
stew.
your thoughts.
Yeah,
because the second I saw it, I could tell on your face.
I kind of wish that hadn't happened, but I don't know if we'd be filming right now if it hadn't. So anyway, we're just going to jump straight into it. We're going to do how we felt about it. We might do a little bit of spoiler talk right after it. We're going to kind of wing it. Eric, tell us a little bit about Terminator Now 3 Dark Fate.
Is the third Terminator 3, 4 if you count Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Yeah, it's got even more of those than Halloween did. All I've been able to do is compare this to Halloween.
Sure. It's a reset of Terminator. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
It's a reset of Terminator.
But in some ways also a remake of 2.
Yeah, and that's my biggest... My second biggest, but my biggest issue is something that there is inevitable. Like, the movie could not fix my biggest issue with the movie, but it is structurally the same movie as 2.
That's right.
I think it gets away with it better than something like Force Awakens, because every Star Wars movie is different, so Force Awakens is just a hack who's never had an original thought in his head.
Yeah.
Whereas this movie, Terminator 2 is fascinating in how much of a sequel, a typical sequel it is, in how many beats it plays again or plays reversed. Aliens is the same way. James Cameron is amazing at making sequels that are exactly what you want, but different.
And yet in some way feels like a completely different genre?
Yeah.
All at the same time?
Yeah,
which is what I wish this somehow was, but I'm not convinced it's even possible.
Yeah. But it is structurally the same movie as Terminator 2. Like, there are scenes where I'm like, this is the highway chase,
That's
this
right.
is the this scene, this is the this scene. Not as bad
And it
as...
has its straight up T-1000 and...
Yes. Well, I guess we can get to it.
Yeah.
This still lives in the shadow that no Terminator movie has ever been able to get out of, which is you cannot come up with something cooler or scarier than the T-1000.
No, so this just didn't even try. It just did exactly the same thing. And you can tell me how it's different, and I don't care. It is enough of the same thing that...
I'm conflicted about it, because...
All right, well, we'll talk about it. It does one cool thing, and it's one note, and then it's not cool anymore.
It has one advantage, which is that it can become 2 things, but I still think if you take care of the skeleton, it's done. So I don't think it ends up being as scary as the T-1000. I thought the actor was pretty good.
Okay.
Except for, there's a couple of moments where I'm like, oh, you're just doing... Is it Robert... What was it? Robert...
See, I knew it until you said that. Yes, I can't remember his name.
Diggs.
It'll come to me.
Yeah.
It'll
Everyone knows him as Diggs,
Yeah.
right? No, it's Doggett. It's not even Diggs, it's Doggett.
Oh, is that is Doggett?
Yeah.
Robert... I can't remember.
I want to say Robert Pattinson, but that's the new Batman.
Yeah, but it's not that, yeah. Okay, why don't we just go ahead and jump into our thoughts then.
Okay.
Eric, real brief, best thing, worst thing overall. How did you feel about Terminator Dark Fate?
Best thing, in the opening, the opening has the best de-aging effects I've ever seen. Will you agree with that?
Yes. Yes.
Unbelievably good. Especially...
You can still tell it's an effect, but not as bad as... Or I'll say it's at least on par with the best Marvel's ever done at it. Because you can't say it's any better than what we did with Sam Jackson in Captain Marvel.
I can?
Nah, because that's an entire movie that does it, and I'm never thinking about the effect.
That's true, but Sam Jackson is not as covered in wrinkles as I can't think of her name now, Linda Carter?
Yeah.
Not Linda Carter, that's one of her...
Hamilton.
Yeah, Linda Hamilton is, and it didn't have to shrink the other actor, because,
No, I mean, that's pretty impressive, where like, a guy plays his kid self. And,
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That was the part of it that was amazing. So we're saying, I didn't even think it looked as good. I mean, he was fine, but, like...
I really liked his look. He's, like, half-shaven, and I think he's intentionally dressed like Jack Slater from Last Action Hero, because he has a brown coat and a red shirt.
Oh,
but I'm
interesting.
not positive.
That's pretty funny. So really, you're, like... This movie that, I mean, I'll just say up front that you seem to be liking more than I'm liking. Your best thing is one scene.
Well, it's just... I thought that effect was amazing. And I will say, I think all of the effects in this movie look better than they did in the trailer. I don't think they look
don't agree with
amazing.
that.
Okay.
I think they look exactly the same.
Okay.
And I had a reservation about it, and then it was just as bad or worse for me because there was so much of it. And so it's kind of sad that this amazing de-aging effect that you're talking about is in a movie that otherwise I thought was lazy with its visual effects, and also sadly lazy with Tim Miller at the helm, who is a visual effects guy first, and wanted to like completely previs all of Deadpool before they made Deadpool. That guy made this movie, and that hurts my feelings.
I thought the special effects looked good.
Well, I don't.
I also thought the action was a lot better than Deadpool. I was kind of surprised because I think Deadpool 2 was such a step up in action because they got the other co-director of John Wick, and I was like, oh no, if he'd come back, if he'd done Deadpool 2, Deadpool 2 probably still would have had better action. Like, I don't know if making Deadpool, like, he learned how to do it, but, like, there's some good action in this. There's also a really bad one underwater that's all CGI and it doesn't look great.
No, that's pretty bad.
But
not the worst thing in the film, in my mind. But
interesting. I'm so fascinated. No, I have been really critical of de-aging effects, and I was just kind of blown away, like, immediately, where I was like, oh, James Cameron worked on this. Like, James Cameron's probably been in the lab, or, like, had people in the lab.
I never had that thought again. But with that scene, I will admit, I had, and that was before I was like, this movie, but in that scene, I will say I had the thought, okay, someday we're just not going to need actors. Which people have been predicting since.
No,
of course, and you're supposed to think that with those, but like this was the time where I was really like, okay, someday we're gonna get there. We are gonna finally get there.
If that's not a good enough best, I will say this film dealt with some political issues better than a lot of movies I've seen lately.
I'll see what you mean by that later, but yeah.
Well, so everything that happens at the border of Mexico involves the plot, there's a reason to be there, and it never stops and preaches at me, but also is able to put commentary in that scene about that stuff. And I shouldn't be impressed by that, but the state of movies today, I was impressed that they were able to just have a scene there and go, this is kind of messed up, and then keep moving. And no one had to stop and like, tell me the audience.
It is nice that there's not a speech about it, but I thought it was shoehorned in. I thought that could have been anywhere. I didn't think it mattered that it was Mexico. I felt like that was just there because that's a thing going on right now, and I wanted to feel topical.
Sure.
It doesn't handle it poorly, but I didn't feel like it was there for any reason. Like, it was just an obstacle. It was just an obstacle to get past.
It was an obstacle to get past, but it worked. Like, they needed an obstacle at that plot beat, and they picked something topical. And well, they start in Mexico. Like, everything's built around that.
No, that's true, but
it doesn't feel inserted in. Like,
that's only because it started there, though. What I'm saying is, from a script level, it did feel inserted in, and it just doesn't feel that way to you because that's where the movie begins. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, why did you start from that place? Like,
I guess, but like it felt natural to me.
Okay. That's not like a big problem I have with it or anything, but I wasn't impressed with Mexico. Like,
I was just impressed that we did the border thing the way movies and stories are supposed to, where it like involved it and like you got the idea from the scenes, but the movie never actually had to stop and tell me what I'm supposed to be getting from the scenes. It just kind of did it. Worst thing is, I'm gonna do two because my biggest one is something that the movie can't fix. The smaller, bigger one is just that it is the exact same structure as Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Which is the soft reboot thing we're doing now. Like, we just keep doing this.
This would be a place to not... one of the biggest places to not do that.
Because we've had Terminator 3. The actual Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines.
Because we had Terminator 3, and because all Genesis did, which you didn't see, was just kind of play the greatest hits. Like, that looked like it should have been directed by J.J. Abrams. And it was like this, except bombastic. And so... that was basically like the Jurassic House of Terminator, and I think that movie just after having done that already, because that is the thing we're doing. If you really want to make the true Terminator 3, you have to put yourself in the position that Cameron was in when he made Terminator 2, and you have to do the same thing he did, which is not make Terminator 2, but go another direction again. And they just for some reason, it's like we're not willing to even try that. And I don't know what that movie is. I can't suggest a premise or anything. But like, I think the only way you can do a true, and even from trailers, I didn't expect this. It's just I also thought what we were given was kind of boring. But with a true Terminator 3, it should also kind of feel like another genre again.
Okay. I don't disagree with that.
Because to do anything else is to say that Terminator 1 was kind of a fun horror film, but it was a little bit of a misstep, and what it should have been all along was Terminator 2. And I don't know if I agree with that. And so what we did with Genesis was we made it kind of a blend of those two things. What I would do with the Terminator 3 is I would just try to go some completely other direction.
Well, and this is the same problem the Alien franchise had after Aliens, because it's the exact same trajectory, where it is a horror film and then is an action film, and then what do you do with that third movie?
I'm not convinced there is another Terminator movie to be made, but I think the one they tried to make here could have been done a lot better.
Okay. Which leads into my actual biggest problem with this film, which is, and I could not escape it while I'm watching the movie, and I enjoyed the movie quite a bit, apparently considerably more than you.
Considerably more than me, yeah.
But the thought that I could not escape was, this has some very interesting ideas. I like the evolution of technology and the surveillance and how all that plays into the future Terminator, and the idea that it's not
a good idea. We didn't do anything with it. We didn't do enough with it.
We did a little bit with it, but by the end it doesn't matter. And the idea that it's not just a cyclical thing, which is kind of what Sarah Connor Chronicles did, where Judgment Day is inevitable.
Yeah.
Judgment Day is inevitable not because of like a time paradox. It's inevitable because we won't stop doing it.
No, it's human condition, and that's the best idea in the movie.
Which I liked. But the thing that I couldn't escape while watching this movie was, boy, I kind of wish we did this stuff, had these ideas, had this, like writing and directing and all of this stuff with something that was new and not Terminator. That is my biggest issue with the movie, and it's not something the movie can fix, but I was like, yeah, the problem with this franchise, and I guess maybe with a lot of franchises at this point, is, but you'll never be able to do something new that will surprise me because you're a franchise. You can't show me something cool with a Terminator that doesn't still root it in being a Terminator.
Yeah.
Because the obvious direction to go with...
if you do, then you get away from the iconography. That's the reason people are there in the first
place. Because the obvious way to go, I guess, if you're trying to be more different, is there are still killer machines, but they don't look like human skeletons, and you would have to get away from everything. And that was part of the problem with the Predator, was they were trying to kind of do that, and then there was a big backlash, and so they reshot the end of the film and stuff like that. But while enjoying this movie, I could not be like, man, it would be cool if you made something where, like, Terminator was your inspiration in the same way that Terminator was inspired by things, but you made your own thing that was dealing with similar ideas. That's my biggest issue with the movie, is, unfortunately, that it's a Terminator movie. And I could still be... This is supposed to be the first in a trilogy, and thank God it actually wraps at the end. Like, the ending of this movie is as satisfactory as the ending of the first movie. I don't feel like it's unnecessarily sequel-baity. Like, it's just them driving off into the sunset, like the end of Terminator. It's like, well, it's still coming, and that's how Terminator ends. But this story is done, and so I appreciate that. But, like, they can't make Terminator 2 again for a second film, so, like, maybe we'll get to see some more interesting and different divergences with this new future. We'll see. But that's my worst thing, is that it's a Terminator movie. But in general, I enjoyed it. I have certain plot questions and mythology questions. There's a couple of character moments that I cry foul on. There's a big character moment that I cry foul on, but overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was as good as it could have been. At least within limiting itself in the Terminator franchise and making a Terminator movie, I thought it was done as well as it could have been. But you don't think that.
I don't think that
because
at all.
You've already told me off camera that you would rather watch any of the other Terminator movies before rewatching this.
I would, and that's not because they're good, and that's not even because they're better than this.
Do you think this is just dull and boring?
It's because they're not boring. Well, Summation is kind of boring, but
Summation's super boring.
At least it's got a more interesting premise than this. I thought this was just so.
Oh, yeah, I'll go with feeling it.
Wow, I thought this was just so paint by number. And let me start with something I wanted to piggyback off of a thing you said a minute ago, which is you were talking about what a sequel would look like. I can't think of very much they could possibly do that would make me go see that movie.
And you saw Genesis.
Yes, I did see Genesis, but
I guess Genesis wasn't a sequel to anything except for the good ones.
It was bombastic and it was insane and it didn't make any sense, but it wasn't. And it was just like recycled greatest hits. But it wasn't boring. I think the effects were as good, for the most part, as this. Like, it had shoddy effects, but so did this, so who cares? In my opinion, I guess you liked the visual effects more than I did.
I didn't, love them or anything, but, I thought they looked better than the trailer.
I was actually there. One of the things that drove me crazy... I'm jumping all over the place. One of the things that drove me crazy in the trailer was... And I didn't look at the trailer and go, this movie's gonna suck. Then I went to the movie, and I thought it did, but... the Rev 9 or whatever he's Rev 7, Rev 9, whatever he's called, the T-1000 in this, when he shapeshifts, when the T-1000 shapeshifted, I mean, those effects date to some degree, but it always feels like he's actually shifting. It always feels like he like it really is a morphing effect. This never looked like a morphing effect to me. Whenever they would do a close-up of his face, and it was in the trailer, and I was hoping it would look better in the movie, and then it didn't. It just looks like an effect over a person's face. It doesn't look like the face is morphing. It just looks like, and now he's got this gunk on his face. I was taken out by that every time.
I don't exactly disagree with that, but I thought it looked better than it did in the trailer.
I think if I showed it to you side by side, it's the exact same effect. I don't think it did anything.
It's also possible I just got used to it.
Yeah, sure. And just in the context of the film that didn't bother you, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's not even my main issue.
We're
talking about effects, so there we are. Best thing, worst thing.
Yeah. Do you have a best thing?
Absolutely, I do.
Okay. Is it Schwarzenegger and how hilarious he is?
It is, and well, not just how hilarious he is. It's the best idea in the movie. It's the only idea I think they had besides the thematic thing that you were talking about.
That's just human nature to destroy us.
Yeah.
We can't stop making technology. It's inevitable that we will get a Skynet-like future.
But that wasn't new. Because that's essentially what T3 also did. It just was still called Skynet. Okay, they stopped it from happening when it happened, but it still happens. And I felt like that movie was a little bit ambiguous about how much of it is human nature and how much of it is that future is still kind of set. But there was a human nature component to that, too. I didn't feel like that was a new idea.
Okay, this is the first time and it's been a long time since I saw Terminator 3, but this is the first time I saw it, and I thought it drove home the idea of, it's not inevitable because this is a franchise, or it's not inevitable because the future can't change. It's inevitable because we won't stop doing it.
Well, another thing that's unfortunate that you're just kind of... I'm questioning whether we should even attempt any more movies at all in this franchise, and I think people have been questioning that going all the way back to 3.
This is the last time, right? If this doesn't do well, and I don't know how it's being received, and I don't know how it's doing money-wise.
You could reboot this. You could do that, but that would be the only other thing to do with it. And I'm not saying we should, but you could do that. I mean, it could potentially be okay. The thing is, some of this, like you were saying earlier, is a little unfair. And I don't agree with you when you say they made the best movie they could make. I think they could have made a much better movie. Certainly, Goyer could have written a better script. This is a Goyer script. This is a consummate Goyer script. Yeah, but his name is first, so I blame him. No, you're right. There are several names on this. It reads like a bad Goyer script to me. But anyway, part of the problem is that one of the things that was so interesting about Terminator 2 was how ambiguous it was that you didn't know if it was really only the fate you make or not. And by making sequels, you have to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like the idea of having your cake and eating it too, where the movie can be dark fate because we are going to screw ourselves, so that is fated. But if we were smart, we could stop it, but we're not smart, so that is the stupidity of humanity. So that's cool. But one of the biggest issues is that they couldn't get me with any kind of a twist in this. And they tried, and they failed, and it was awful.
Well, the biggest twist in the movie is in the trailer.
Okay, we'll go to spoilers here in a second.
Okay,
and we'll talk about that. Let me actually do best thing, worst thing. Okay. So best thing is Carl, is Schwarzenegger. The coolest idea in this was getting to see what a Terminator living on his own for 20 years having a family would be like. What a cool idea. We didn't explore it enough. He's introduced far too late into the film, and
that's because he's Miles Dyson.
I almost want to make that Right. I didn't even think of that, because that's your structure of the thing. I don't care. That should have been the movie, or at least it should have been a big part of the movie, because you can't make the Terminator Miles Dyson. What they tried to do, you're right, I didn't think of that. What they tried to do was they tried to make the Terminator Miles Dyson, and they tried to make the girl from the future that is augmented but still human, the Terminator. It doesn't work. Like, it needs to be the T-800 3 times, and you see an evolution. Because that does have that here, but they try to have their cake and eat it too. He's a stand-in for a different character, while at the same time also being the T-800. It doesn't work. I mean, it's really problematic. By the time we finally introduce him, we don't have any time to explore him, so he's there kind of as just a comic relief character, and then also to give Sarah Connor extra angry motivation. That all is so predictable and goes exactly where you expect it to, and then when you get to the end, you're like, well, I didn't get to spend any time with him, and he's kind of just here because Schwarzenegger is supposed to be in movies. I think it was an accident that that idea was as good as it was. I think it was, we got to come up with some excuse to get Schwarzenegger in this movie, and if he hadn't been here, I might have walked out of the theater. This movie was boring, and I had to fight myself to not fall asleep.
Interesting.
My worst thing is every new character and Sarah Connor. I hated all of them, or I was bored by all of them. No new character had anything interesting to say or do. They all did exactly the obvious things. Again, the big twist is so clear and obvious, and there's a play. Well, we'll talk about it.
That should have been. If we were just doing spoilers, the twist would have been maybe my biggest problem, just because it's not a twist.
It's nothing. It's not a twist. You know what's coming.
There's no reason that couldn't have just been said in the first scene where they bring it up. They try to lampshade it and give a reason, but I don't buy it.
I don't think anybody...
And I called it, right? Nobody's surprised
by that. You not only called it, you couldn't believe somebody didn't mention it in the scene where it came up.
Yes.
It's awful. But beyond that, I never in my life thought I would say this. The only good actor in this movie is Schwarzenegger. I've said it, including Linda Hamilton, who I think is awful.
I liked her.
She's awful. She has a bunch of line readings that are, I think, unintentionally funny. I think she is angry for no good reason. And I mean, folks in the comments will tell me why she's angry. I know why she's supposed to be angry. It's a concept versus execution issue. It's not work. Let's go ahead and just get into spoilers. Okay. So, I told you my best thing and my worst thing. Sure. Overall, I thought this movie was dull, and I thought the action was boring all the way through. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I thought the action was so boring, almost all the way through. That highway chase at the beginning, there's some fun things in that. But the stuff at the end. Like, why do we have to do that location again?
It's a different location.
Okay, but it looks too similar.
But Terminator 1 ends in a factory too. Like, this is just how Terminator movies end. They end in factories.
I guess that's okay.
Because Terminator 2 is also just Terminator 1 but different.
So we're kind of stuck with that. Okay, you know what? I will give you that, except that it was the end of Terminator 2 and not the end of Terminator 1. No, as far as the story is concerned.
You're not wrong, and there's double beats. The Terminator coming back to life after you think it's dead and things like that. Like that's an immediate copy from when he has the thing through him in Terminator 2 when he's on the ground.
Yes.
Yes.
We have a dollar store version of T-1000. He is not menacing at all. I didn't think he was remotely scary like the T-1000. What's worse is that he talks. Because if he's going to talk, you should do something with that, and it never mattered that he talked. And then he got like a nickel speech at the end.
The T-1000 talks.
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember him being silent. I just watched that movie, so I don't know.
I'm looking for this boy.
Oh, that's true. Okay, but this one was supposed to mimic humanity better, and I should have done something with that.
Okay, but that was going to be my counterpoint. Is while he is not as scary as the T-1000, I buy him as an infiltrator more. When he has He has genuine human interactions with people, and I buy that they are not just like, this guy's real weird, right?
Yeah, no, that works.
He feels more like a human being than T-1000 did.
Sure, but that's such a minor point, right? Like when you get to the end, it's like suddenly he's got to have like a speech.
Yeah,
and it's not good. And
I thought it was
really okay.
He doesn't bring up the question that I have about Carl, which is he says I have no more. Or my mission. I finished my mission. I had no other purpose. Is his purpose still to kill all humans?
Well,
isn't that still like
it just
his
means
overriding goal?
It just means it's crappy programming, right? Like,
sure.
He is one of the machines, but they also only invented him to do this one job, so he actually doesn't care about what they care about except to do the one thing.
It's just one line of code. Just kill John Connor.
Let's get into spoilers.
Oh, I thought
Let's
we were in
just
spoilers.
do that. Okay, well, so we are.
Definitely
we are
spoilers.
for sure in spoilers now. Okay, so the real biggest issue with this movie, because I had to do the non-spoiler answer.
Yeah.
The real and the bigger thing is a thing that I have to spoil things in order to say, which is I was kind of worried about this from the trailer, and you and I talked about it, and I said she's got to have a good reason for hating the T-800 so bad. And she doesn't, and it's awful.
Oh, I disagree. I think she does. He killed her son.
Nope, doesn't work.
Why?
Doesn't work remotely. Why? Because she never acknowledges the relationship she had with the version from 2. She knows that those things can evolve. And the fact that it killed her son shouldn't matter as much to her as it does because they can evolve. He was an automaton that was programmed to do a thing, murdered her son, and then grew up just like the one that she actually came to care about and had a relationship with in 2. That's never discussed.
But that
it's
one's
never
programming
brought up.
was written by John in the future. She has no reason to believe that a normal Terminator could do that. That one is specifically reprogrammed by John and has built-in directives like not killing.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. In T2 he does.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
John
that
tells
is
him
not at
to
all
kill.
what happens.
John
tells him not to kill.
Right.
He does not. He is not programmed from the future to be more human and to be more compassionate or anything.
No, but
he is only programmed to protect John Connor. That's it. And what makes him more human is the interactions he has with those people. She knows these machines are capable.
But also
of this.
restrictions John puts on him because...
Well, yeah, that's true, too.
Because he's programmed to obey John. So when Kid John says no killing, now goes into his programming and...
Yeah, but here's the thing. Some of it, too, is just, like, over the top and overacting. But if she... for a little while until she spent some time with him, thought maybe this is somehow an act or something. And I think there's a little bit of that there, but it seems more just she's stubborn, and it's just it read to me like your really typical movie thing of she has to have a revenge motive, and then we want to, like... I thought there was a lot of emotional manipulation in this movie. I thought at the end it's like, oh, we gotta tug on your heartstrings. As soon as she says, I'm never gonna call you Carl, yes, she is. And at the end of the movie, he's going to have a sacrifice, and she's going to call him Carl. And like, I wrote all of that in the script as I'm watching the movie. It's emotional and manipulative, and it's plugging for a formula, and it's not good setup and payoff.
But I like the For
awful.
John thing. I didn't even catch you calling Carl, but I liked the For John thing, and I appreciate they did not give a thumbs up because I was expecting him to give a thumbs up.
Yeah.
No, I don't know that all played for me. I didn't think...
Wow, I'm very surprised to hear you say that. Because like I don't think they got enough screen time. I didn't buy any character evolution in this movie. When the girl who is supposed to be the new John Connor, the savior of the future, so the whole reason, again, we're spoiling things. When the whole reason is finally revealed for why the not Terminator came in the past to protect her. The excuse for why she and the audience weren't told earlier, even though it's obvious, when Sarah Connor just assumes, oh, you must be having the child that saves the future, and she never interjects and says, no, actually, she just is the savior. Mm-hmm. The explanation is, I didn't think you could handle that information and were ready to hear it because you're not the person you will be in the future, but you are now. Never bought that.
No, that's awful.
That is awful.
No, that is absolutely awful. That is lampshading why they... Because what that really feels like is an excuse to save this twist that everyone saw coming.
And it's a twist because these movies have always had them. And if you didn't have a good one that I would buy, just don't do.
But there is a good one. There's an obvious good... Not in this movie. There's an obvious good one
they should have done.
Yes, there's an obvious good one they should have done. Schwarzenegger's evil.
Well, yeah. I had that thought, too.
That's the obvious...
And the thing is, he was the only character I cared about, so they could have made me feel something, because I never did in this movie.
Schwarzenegger should have been evil at the end of this movie. I think.
I thought this was missing all of the heart of 2. I thought it was missing all of the interesting like exploring the human condition stuff that 2 had, except for that kind of one throwaway. I would say throwaway. That one idea they had that just doesn't, but it doesn't carry the movie.
I liked the Terminator chick. I like thematically what we're doing with her with the technological thing where...
You'll have to explain that to me.
Well, she's augmented.
Right.
Which means it's not a movie that's technophobic. It is not a doom and gloom, we should go back to the Stone Age.
Okay, that's, yeah.
And it is something different, which is the first time we have attempted this since 2 of doing something different. Because in the first movie you have Kyle Reese, in the second movie you have a Terminator, in the third movie you have a Terminator, in Genesis you have a Terminator. It is an attempt to do something other than just another Terminator good guy, or just doing Kyle Reese again, but a human.
Okay, but let me suggest this. How is it necessarily any more or less technophobic than 2? Just because it's a human being that was augmented? Because 2 is a human... Let me suggest this. 2 is a human being sending back a robot that is reprogrammed, but is still saying, we shouldn't rely on technology too much. This movie is RoboCop. This movie is a woman who is in such bad physical shape that if they don't do this to her, she will die. And that saves her, so I guess technology is good in that way, but like it was just kind of a measure they had to do, just like with 2, and then she is sent back because she's the most capable person. I don't think it's necessarily any more or less for technology.
It's the intermingling of human and technology. It could be viewed as my argument, which is it is okay to the point of a pacemaker and a hearing aid, but it is a symbiosis of technology and humanity that does not necessarily have to be evil. I also like the limitations it had. I like that she had to keep injecting herself with stuff because she only has a limited, and that keeps her from being Schwarzenegger in 2 of the unstoppable killing machine.
But I never fully understood what her abilities were and how far she could go. And
that's true, but I always felt like she was on the back foot. I always underestimated, which I thought worked effectively in the action
scenes. Because right away she falls from like the highest place imaginable. I'm like, she can handle anything, and so. But
I don't think she can handle that Terminator. Like I always assume when the Terminator shows up, like she's kind of useless, kind of like Kyle is in the first movie.
See, you're latching on to ideas that I think are inherently maybe there but aren't explored at all. I don't know if that plays at all in the film. I mean, the idea that, well, she's got technology in her, but she's not evil.
There's a couple of little things.
Wouldn't it have been more interesting if it was a little bit more the other way, or it was ambiguous? I was missing the ambiguity of Terminator, and again, maybe that's not possible with this, but I was missing it. Just like the experience I had.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be more interesting if human beings into were changing the Terminator into something more like a human being because of those interactions, and she had to fight becoming 2 machine? I mean, wouldn't that be much more interesting?
Sure.
But I didn't think anything with that. I also thought that actress wasn't very good.
Oh, I liked her. I didn't think she was amazing, but I liked her, and I feel the same way about the lead chick. Like, she didn't do anything that like made me like love her, but like I didn't think any of them were bad.
I thought she was completely wooden.
Okay.
I thought the Terminator chick was better, but I thought the John Connor stand-in chick, what her name is.
I thought she got better as the movie went on. Like it's like they cast her to be the strong woman she's supposed to be at the end of the movie, but she didn't play the earlier stuff as well as I thought she would get to.
She never came alive to me at all. I thought that she was every no-name actor that was ever in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I thought that about her brother, and I was like... And I do want to talk about the gender politics thing a little bit at the end, but...
I didn't know if you want to go there, but...
I do.
Okay.
All right. But but I was like, okay, so you're doing this strong, like, woman thing, and, like, we just have to have, like, this guy tag along, and then he dies, and I was like, okay, because I got nothing from that guy. I was like, I'm going to put up with this guy for this whole movie. John Connor didn't have to have, like, I guess John Connor kind of had his mom, but you know what I mean. Like, I was like, we don't need this extra person here. Like, if you're trying to be this like feministy movie, like just have all women and then Schwarzenegger later, and that's fine. And they died, and they did do that, and that worked out fine. But no, I got that from the guy where I'm like, oh, this is the guy in every movie that is the love interest that you never, or every female-led movie where it's the love interest that you never. He's the guy from Catwoman. He's the guy from Elektra. Like, I was like, oh no, and then he dies.
I wondered how this girl got this role. I felt like she was so dime a dozen.
Oh, interesting. I didn't think she was great, but I thought she was good enough. But I also don't think Linda Hamilton's like amazing in the first one. She's amazing in the second one. I think she's amazing in that first.
She's got a spark though. There's something there, and there is a real transformation.
There is.
You can't argue with that.
There is. But it's
I think she was better in that than she was in this.
I don't want to say an easier arc, but
35 years later.
But she goes, yeah, but also where she hasn't done anything in 35 years as far as I'm aware. But in Terminator, she goes from.
Okay, so she was an actress that had hardly ever acted, and now she's had 35 years of life experience and gave a worse performance.
2 seasons of Beauty and the Beast.
No, I mean life experience.
Oh, sure.
I mean, so a woman who has lived 35 more years of life can't act as well as she did back when she was barely an actress.
But I liked her in this movie.
Also, I'm kind of being flippant and silly when I say that. I don't blame her. I blame this material.
I thought she was.
I think the script is so bad.
I think she's better when she has sunglasses on.
Okay.
I feel like there's something. I don't want to say something like not going on behind the eyes, but like.
Sorry.
But like when she has sunglasses on, she's better in this movie.
You know what I hated? The Terminator picks up the sunglasses and puts them back down. Freaking hated that.
Did you?
Yes.
I didn't.
Yes, I did.
I didn't. You know what I hated? You know what I hated?
Yeah, what'd you hate?
When she gives the worst line reading we've ever had of "I'll be back," and then a guy in my theater clapped.
Also,
that doesn't even make sense in scene, and it plays way better when Arnold says, "I won't be back."
I was going to say, why would you even put that in there when he's going to flip it in a completely normal context where it doesn't even feel like that was a good idea. I liked that, but
no. There are.
Oh, I also hated "And It's Texas."
Oh,
I didn't like that either.
I thought that was funny.
Okay. All right.
As for like why it's not weird to have a shed full of guns, that's fine.
Is that what that was supposed to be?
Yeah.
I just felt like that being the script going, we have to acknowledge that Texas likes guns. Like, it didn't even feel like a thing he would say right then.
Well, remember in 2,
it was just a script being silly.
Like they have that gun bunker, and like it has to be because the thing everyone forgets about Terminator 2 is Sarah Connor basically is friends with urban terrorists. Like, those guys she goes and hangs out with in the desert.
That's a good point.
Like, they're urban terrorists, and they have, like, a bunker of guns for her.
That's an excellent point.
I think it's explaining why he can just have a shed full of guns. It's because it's Texas and they don't care.
Okay. In the moment, I didn't read it that way. I just thought anyway.
But to go back to the girl and to Sarah and the arc thing, I think Sarah Connor in the first film has an easier arc to play, or a more clear arc of going from just, like, kind of a loser waitress to being this tough person. The thing that we do with her is, because you have to believe that she's going to be this leader, and you would never believe that Sarah Connor in that first movie would be, like it wouldn't play the way Sarah is in that first movie, that she would be the savior of the future.
No, that's true.
This has to be a woman that's already strong and confident and powerful, and just becomes essentially more soldierized by the end of the film.
Yeah.
It's not as obvious an arc.
That's fair.
Because you see her in the beginning when she's at work and she's the boss.
That's not the problem. The problem is that we talk about it like there was this massive transformation on screen that I didn't see.
That scene also has my least favorite line in the movie, but we'll get to that when we talk about the gender
less ready for it. I would think the only reason she wouldn't be ready for it early on is because there's just too much for her to take in, right? It's like, I just found out there was time travel and evil robots. She's processing
it pretty well, because she will tell anyone that will talk to her that there's a robot.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
My biggest issue with her arc, kind of, and then it doesn't even play later in the film, and that makes it worse, when they're doing the gun training, we see her earlier miss with the gun. And then Sarah Connor's just like, the Terminator just killed off, and she just
couldn't believe
hits
that.
every target. Now,
that's not how adrenaline works?
No.
That's not how... Adrenaline does not equate accuracy? Anger doesn't equate accuracy?
No. In its defense, they're big bullets, but...
Okay, but the thing is, I would buy her hitting the target, not...
Like
she never misses.
Yeah, because she hits like 3 of them. No,
that was stupid.
I don't even know if I necessarily buy the hitting the... Here's The thing is, Sarah Connor doesn't do that in the first movie.
Right.
From 1 to 2, she has, what's the difference, like 10, 11 years?
Something like that.
She spends that entire time training herself in every firearm imaginable,
right.
which is why she can do that too, and why she can do that in this movie.
It feels like this girl can because she was fated to, and that's against the idea of the film.
It would have just been easier if, like, her dad shot guns or something, and like they were gonna teach her, and she's like, no, I know.
This is a character who could have just already known that.
Yeah.
No good reason. Why not?
But and like you can have her still be helpless in the beginning because A, she doesn't have a gun in her hand, and B, she's traumatized. But like as the film goes on, she gets over that. But no, that was the only thing in her like arc that I took issue with, and that doesn't even pay off because later she's not like an expert shot. It's almost like that was an insert scene. Which is very strange.
Like a reshoot or something.
Yeah, because later when she shoots the Terminator, she misses and hits. She just like fires blindly. So I don't know. I don't even know why that was there. And that was a cool gun, and we never got to see that used. But anyways,
so this is a thing I'm somewhat conflicted on because I just don't know what exactly you do, but I feel like they didn't even try. Okay.
Okay.
I get that it's a Terminator movie and you want the iconography like we were talking about before. I get
and the Terminators in the beginning looked awesome.
They looked awesome. I get that you wanted the future with the skulls and the crushing of the skulls and all that.
Yes, the thing I was robbed of in Terminator Salvation.
And you got that. But you've got to try a little harder to make me buy that the future turns out exactly the same way without Cyberdyne. Like, it's completely different, and yet it all works out. So
I just assume that's the most efficient way to build robots to kill human beings.
Yes, but that plus everything else, okay? The designs of the Terminators look exactly the same. The future, the Days of Future Past future looks exactly the same. But then beyond that, they come up with exactly the same time travel technology that works exactly the same way. Maybe that's the only way time travel works in this universe, so whatever with that. But, like, this is not how butterfly effect works. You would not expect that everything would squarely work out exactly the same way, and that, like, that just happens because iconography, and we've got to fill in for that formula from 2, but 1 and 2. But, like, I guess the biggest issue I took with that was, so this Legion thing comes up with the same thing Cyberdyne does, which is, it's bad, which is, we're going to time travel again to stop this person who's already born. Why didn't we do the same thing we did with Sarah Connor? I guess that's not the same, so they're stupider then. And we're going to go back and kill the actual woman when she's, like, an adult and capable at all. Like, it's dumb, and we didn't even try. I get you're stuck with some of it. We didn't even try to make it remotely plausible or to make it remotely logical.
If the plot of the first movie was, because the first movie actually addresses this, but the plot of the first movie, if Sarah was the savior, you wouldn't question it exactly. Like, that's just the plot of the movie. Well, you wouldn't go, well, why didn't they? And this is a different system, but also, the first movie covers all of this in, I didn't build the thing. Like, because they start asking those questions, like, well, why not just go for her grandparents or her, like, at the end of the day, that stuff doesn't matter. I'm with you on the iconography where that's just being trapped in the Terminator franchise, right?
Yeah.
Like, the iconography and the time travel, because Salvation did try to be a different genre, right? Like, Salvation tried to be a war movie and tried to be in the future. It just executed terribly.
And the thing is, that is still, and you shouldn't do it now after Salvation, because nobody would go, but, like,
it's still the best idea.
That is still the thing to do.
Yes. No, it's still the best idea for a third movie. You just can't do it now. This is, I think, re-trajectorizing. It's the thing that everyone made excuses for in Force Awakens, despite the fact that Star Wars has never done that and didn't need to do that. But Force Awakens is just a new hope again for a new audience. This is kind of that. It just, for me, it works a little bit better because Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 are so similar already. This is a franchise that already has a pre-establishment of kind of repeating the plot. But if this gets a sequel, it will be completely different. It will not be, I hope, Terminator 2 again.
And I won't care because I didn't like these actors.
And that's fine.
But the people we're left with that we got to follow now are boring. I don't care.
It's resetting up the pieces so that we can move forward. Like that's what this movie
but I don't
is
like
doing.
the pieces. I mean, Force Awakens was also that, and one thing you have to give that is that it created characters that could have been interesting.
Yeah.
If you kept moving forward with them, I don't think most people that thought that Force Awakens was just a repeat of A New Hope said, oh, and also these characters are all generic. These characters are all generic. I think, and
I don't think they're great, but I didn't take issue with them.
The other thing with but I mean, like, I need to like them.
But I did like them. I just didn't love them.
Okay. But I mean, if you're going to replace Sarah Connor, and also they're replacing Sarah Connor while they're making me not like Sarah Connor. That
and I liked Sarah Connor. So like I didn't have that.
That's cool. I thought she was pretty awful. But like the thing with Force Awakens for me was always. It feels like a lot of it is kind of retready, but maybe we're doing something with that, and it's got all these interesting mysteries, and then we didn't stick the landing with that in the next one.
And we ruined all of those characters immediately.
Yeah, this doesn't have all this interesting stuff for me to latch onto, or maybe another chapter. You see what I'm saying? Like for me, I didn't feel like there was a story to tell. This started from a place of, we have to fix this franchise, not, let's fix the franchise now that we know how. I didn't feel like they knew how. And I guess you sort of do, but I didn't. This was not interesting to me.
I didn't love it or think it was great, but I would rather watch this than any of the other Terminator sequels.
Well, you've not seen the insanity of Genesis, but...
Well, sure, but I wasn't bored by this movie. Like, and also, and again, there are certain things...
Good. I'm glad you were, and I kind of wish I hadn't gone. I mean, I was that...
There were certain things that I enjoyed in the movie and liked in the movie that in a perfect world I wouldn't. But I don't live in a perfect world, so just the fact that this was like an adult movie where people swore and I got to see some violence, I appreciated that.
That doesn't do anything for me, but...
It does for me because we don't make enough of them. I got John Wick. We're finally doing this again, and so I'm happy. It's also the first Terminator movie since 2 that is R.
But the only reason we're doing that is to bring that audience back. I don't think they get points for that. It's
part of the course correction, right?
Okay, sure.
Because like we had,
it doesn't want, but the course correction watches as well. We just have to do exactly what we did before, not pretend like we were, and they don't do that well in my mind. Like, it didn't feel authentic. It didn't feel like authentically too. Part of the problem was also the score. This has a really, really, really bad score, and
I only noticed the score once, and it's when we went to Mexican guitar, and I was like, I kind of like Mexican guitar.
It's got like your real like sappy, drippy. Standard action movie score that occasionally is interrupted by the old school edgy Terminator music, and it felt like that thing we laughed at in Power Rangers, except like 9 times.
I didn't have that. Well, and also, I was won over real quick because I thought it felt authentic, like in the beginning. And so I didn't...
It lost me right away.
Oh, okay. So it's like... Because like, I see the future with the Terminators, and then I see the...
I say right away. I mean, I liked that stuff, okay.
I don't... But it immediately felt different than it has for the past. I didn't see the last one, but the 2 before that. Something about that opening with the Terminators, and then the stuff with John getting killed. Like, all of that immediately felt to me... whatever was missing in those other movies with the Terminator stuff, like, I was like, this feels like Terminator. Like, and it hasn't felt like Terminator in 20 years.
And see, for me, it was like, we know what that's supposed to feel like, but we don't know how to duplicate, how to replicate it.
Interesting, because it worked for me. And then as the movie went on, like, I'm already in that place. So, like, maybe if it didn't open and I was like, oh, it's like it's 1991 again. But, I don't know. There was something else I want to talk about but before we mention the gender issues back here. Oh! So this is a thing that will either never be mentioned again and will just be this thing that I'll never understand, assuming that this gets sequels, and I don't know how it's doing box office-wise.
I'll be surprised if it does, but...
I
was expecting this to... I guess I don't know if it will. I was kind of expecting nobody to go to this, but...
They needed to wait longer. Like, this could have been a great movie, and they needed to wait longer.
Yeah.
Because it just feels... This is the third Terminator movie in a row that's the first in a trilogy, and unlike... Genesis, because I know enough about Genesis to know that Genesis did this, and Salvation, this doesn't exactly feel like the first of a trilogy. Like, this could have been like Halloween. Like, Halloween doesn't feel like the first of a trilogy either. The new Halloween.
Well, no, just because it ends the same way Terminator 1 does, and they didn't know they were getting a sequel with that movie, so...
And this does feel a bit like Halloween, but I liked it more than that movie.
Yeah, it felt too much like Halloween to me, and I like that movie more than this, so...
Interesting.
It's got a weak ending.
So...
Halloween does. It really does, but...
And it kind of unravels the whole movie for me. Also a little bit too much comedy. But,
yeah, that's fair.
But, so... They give me something in this movie that I kind of understand, but don't. So Skynet just sent a bunch of Terminators back.
I don't understand that.
Okay, so my guess is that Skynet sent back multiple Terminators at different points, which is fine. That actually makes strategical sense. Just like because they're cut off once they're sent back. So well, if that one fails, we've got another one. If that one fails, we've got another one. What doesn't
Why don't they all meet up?
Well, they're staggered and they keep getting killed.
Right, but if they just sent a whole bunch back,
and just laid low.
Yeah,
I guess. But I mean, these are the kinds of things that the Terminator franchise unravels. Why don't they send two?
Yeah.
And the first one
and the real reason is so Schwarzenegger can be here somehow. We didn't even try to explain why he gets older in this. We just went, he's older, and we didn't even talk about it. Genesis at least gave us something. I don't remember what it was. It was dumb, but
they don't talk about it. But my this is that thing where I've heard them talk outside of the film, but it is the same thing as Genesis, which is just it's organic flesh. It's going to decay and age.
Okay. It's weird that it's not mentioned.
No, it is. But the best. So that was the explanation I kept within my head was okay, well, Skynet sent them back to various points in time, and that's cool. They sent them back past Judgment Day, because every couple of years one shows up. So would there be a point in 2007 where a Terminator showed up and Judgment Day's already happened. The resistance has started.
And the other thing I don't get is, okay, so is the idea supposed to be, let me break this down, that portals are now opening past Judgment Day.
Yeah.
So the portal is opening.
Yes.
I can be okay with, obviously this is the time travel thing as you can see in the first place. I can be okay with the Terminators are sent back in the past. And even though the whole thing is built on a paradox in the first place, even though the thing that created them and sent them back now doesn't exist because they were here already, they get to keep existing. I don't buy the portals opening. That's weird. But
if they sent them all back at the same time,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Is they sent them all back at the same. If they have a machine, they're just sending. They send 4 of them through.
That's what I'm saying. I thought you were right, but.
Would the portals just open into nothing?
That's what, or I would think they wouldn't open at all, because, it's...
But then where do those Terminators go?
I would think that because they're not here already, they never existed. Do you see what I'm saying? So, the portals wouldn't open because that never actually happened. But if they're here already, because that was the logic we always had before.
Right, but
I have a really hard
the
time
future
with...
doesn't happen. But Kyle Reese still goes back in time and creates John Connor.
Yeah. And
the future doesn't happen now. Part of it is, I think, thinking about it linearly.
We're about to run out of SD space, so yeah.
How much time do we have? Because I want to touch on the gender thing real quick.
Almost none.
Crap.
Yeah. Sorry.
I thought they dealt with the gender stuff really well. They never put down they never put down a man to make a woman look strong, except for one line, which is, "You're not going to give birth to some man that's going to save the future.
Yeah.
You are the future." I was like, just say someone, and you're the savior of the future. I don't know why that line was as antagonistic as it was, but I thought the rest of them we dealt with it. I don't know what everyone's freaking out about. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't really have any comment on that. That wasn't my issue with the movie or anything.
No. But I just thought it was interesting. I was like, there's the one line that everyone that already decided they're going to hate this movie is going to zero in on. And
yeah. It's kind of like that Batwoman thing.
Yeah. Well, except that was in every single trailer.
Yeah. And then it ended up being the only line like that in the pilot. It was really
interesting.
Weird. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. That's how we felt about it. I'm getting why you liked it more than me, but I still really didn't enjoy it. It's just...
You also just rewatched Terminator and Terminator 2, and it's been like 6 months.
Well, yeah, but you've probably seen it way more times than I have. Anyway, thanks again for watching. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
You're